was like Groundhog Day because Aston Villa came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last time. Same goal scorers, same result.
We just can't stitch 45 minutes together. I don't think we've done it in about 6 years, 6 seasons.
If he wants them to play a certain style, I mean, I'm looking at you, mate. We've been missold.
Yeah.
Again.
Are you saying that Thomas Frank's like the PPI version of a manager?
Yeah, I mean, we've been missold PPI heavily.
I watched Villa and I was a little jealous, like with someone like Morgan Rogers. You know what brought me back to? Dele Alli.
And finishing 5th, terrible second season, but won a trophy. Should the board have stuck with
This fan base has gone through enough rubbish and false dawns to take everything with a pinch of salt now. I'm going to reserve my judgments to when I see him play.
We are guilty of this. Like, how dare we think we're too good for Conor Gallagher?
Are we all in agreement then that we think that Pochettino is the only man that can save this club?
Never go back to an ex. I feel like the ship's maybe sailed on him.
This reeks of West Ham beating us. It reeks of it.
Nuno as well, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to Inside Spurs, talkSPORT's dedicated Spurs show where we talk all things Tottenham Hotspur. We're back for 2026 now with weekly episodes. Alongside me is Sonny Snelling from Sonny Talks Spurs and a fellow Spurs fan and content creator who you would have seen representing us on talkSPORT Goals recently. It's a big welcome back to Abbi Summers.
Hi.
Mrs. Viral. Every time I open my phone now, it's you talking about Spurs.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, actually, yeah. And when we're getting so emotional, like, please do something. So it feels at the moment.
Yeah.
Off the back of another defeat, it's a regular occurrence.
You might as well just start every show that way.
I know. And you know what? One thing you can guarantee with Spurs is if you've got like a weekend or a birthday, like it was my birthday the weekend.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Belated birthday wishes. It's going to be ruined by Tottenham Hotspur. So don't make plans around Spurs making your weekend.
No.
So I was there Saturday at the game. It's my birthday. I was very, very privileged to have a box there. A friend of mine, good friend, thank you to Nick. And I thought, wow, my son's there, my dad's there, best friend's there. It's the moment. It's going to be the turnaround of the season.
Nothing like the football to ruin a day.
I know.
That's what I always say.
It's a lovely day out ruined by 90 minutes.
It really is. And that's where we're going to start because it was like Groundhog Day because Aston Villa came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last time. Same goal scorers, same result.
We just can't stitch 45 minutes together. I don't think we've done it in about 6 years, 6 seasons. Like even
since we've been to that stadium.
I think since Pochettino we haven't played a full 90 minutes where you go, oh, that was convincing, or oh, we deserve that, or oh yeah, those players play well. Like even like some of the individual performances. First half, Palhinha looks like I was like, send him back to Bayern, I'll drive him myself. Second half, I'm like, oh, that clause actually. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, he looks like a leader in that like all white Spurs kit.
He did.
But yeah, I'm lost for words now because I said this on my own YouTube channel. That second half to me, even though it was positive and better, I think that's more damning for Frank because I walked away from it going, these players can attack, they can create, but it takes 45 minutes for them to wake up. A bit like, it was like the same under Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
45 minutes to wake up, and then you're like going for it in the last 70 or whatever. It's like, I'm a bit done. I'm a bit done with it at this level.
You're only just being a bit done. Just wondering.
I say it every week. I just say this every week.
I'm only just.
I keep pulling me back.
But the thing is, he comes out after the game saying like that second half is how he wants us to play. So it was almost a bit very similar, like you said, you mentioned Conte, even with Jose. He'd be like, no, I don't want the players to be this far back. I'm telling them to go forward. And then we'd like, but why are they there? So Frank's almost saying the same thing. No, I want them to be pressing. I want them to be higher. You know, I did the second half. Mad to say, I did enjoy it. Like, I actually enjoyed watching it, and I was out of my seat, and there was moments of quality that you think, hang about, that's a good player. He's a good player. There's bits to work off here. And I almost, like, that second half almost saved his job for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you talk about that he comes out and he says that he wants him to play in that style and in that way. Well, at the end of the day, you're the manager, right? So it's like none of us, if we had any sample size over the last 4 or 5 months that we've seen glimmers of that, I've not seen Tottenham play like that once under Thomas Frank.
Maybe Man City, I'd say, just.
Yeah, but I think the way in which he set up against Man City was so tactically correct.
Yeah.
And obviously we haven't seen that. Bar PSG in the Super Cup and Bar City, I couldn't tell you another performance where Spurs have looked good, in all honesty, and looked a little bit more on the front foot and looked like they knew what they were doing. This is a team that know how to attack because they were under someone like Ange Postecoglou. They naturally are inclined and should be inclined to be front foot football.
Yeah.
But the way in which Thomas Frank sets the team up is very difficult when you've got a double pivot of Bentancur and Palhinha, because there's no movement there, there's no legs. I feel like when you've got Sarr there, at least there is a bit of a runner, but he still doesn't tend to opt for that. Or if you've got Bergvall in there as well. But again, it's not something he's necessarily opted for, even pre-injury. That second half was a lot more positive. It looked a lot more what we would want Tottenham to look like. There is some quality in that team. I mean, obviously, when you're missing your first choice 4-5 attacking players, you are always going to look worse than you are, because especially with our squad, when you dip into those rotational areas, we know how much we suffer, you know, and we've had that unfortunately for a long time, and that shows you the massive oversight that has been placed on our squad depth in general. But yeah, I mean, you see glimmers in a Tell, you see glimmers in an Odegaard. It begs the question why Tell only probably has started 3 games this season. I think also just the movement, like
No one's wanting ball to feet, give like these hand gestures.
No one's. I know if we talk about through balls, I mean, I can't remember what it was I sent to the group last night.
Yes, I saw this, yeah.
It was like, I think Villa had done more. I think it was like Morgan Rogers actually had 3 more through balls.
There's 9 more players.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pino and Adam Wharton at Palace individually have done more through balls than the whole of Tottenham.
And that comes down to the manager. So if he wants them to play a certain style, I mean, I'm looking at you, mate. I'm not looking at anyone else.
Don't worry, on Friday he said, I think he called out us, in particular the social media fans and the journalists, saying, why don't you give it a
a I'd happily. Please throw my hat in the ring, because we've had every style of manager.
Imagine us two as the coaches, I think.
I like it. Yeah. It's happening.
We'd certainly play a good style of football.
Yeah. One real shining light in the second half was Jerry Simmons. And, you know, even I heard Martin Keown speaking about him the other day, saying he's really coming on. He didn't fancy him too much, but he goes, there's a player there. He's centrally, he has to be central. Putting him out wide there's no point. That sort of low centre of gravity he has, the way he was driving through. You know, at the end of the day, there was 2 offside goals. You know, they were tight. VAR, who knows what could have happened. But I think there's definitely quality in that forward line. We're just not utilising it.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough positive creation. Like, you see, like, Colin Moani comes on, he can't really get a sniff. It's almost like most of our attacks are like counter-attacks, but they just fizzle out, because you can tell by the players, they look up, they're not sure who to give it to, or, you know, there's not really many like passing lanes, and we just really struggle against those low blocks. Like Villa and Sunderland the week before, I was at both games, they know what they're doing, they know how to set up, they know how to like quash these attacks, because it's just easy. And, you know, we were talking beforehand about like Kudus, I know he's injured, but he, again, another player who's not being utilised right, because he's playing high and wide. He's not being able to cut in, and like we saw maybe in his first season at West Ham or when he was at Ajax as well. It's a shame. And like even with Xavi, you know, I know he probably deserved that red card against Liverpool, but again, like that was 3 games where we probably could have needed him. And I do feel sorry for him now, because he's been chucked in the deep end due to injuries of Maddison and Kulusevski. So it is all on him to create. But there is a player there, and that's what I'm saying. In that second half, I looked and I think, you know, in weeks gone by, I've said, like, Odegaard, Tell, they look quite raw, but Odegaard took his goal well, like really low, driven shots. Whereas weeks gone by, they're just on the edge of the area, the whole crowd are shouting, shoot, and they're like, no, I'm going to actually pass all the way back to Vicario instead, because that's the easier way out. Yeah,
there was a couple of moments on Saturday, actually, you see Tell, like, indecisive. And I think that's what the problem is, where, you know, anyone who's played in forward positions know that it needs to be instinctive. All the best finishers, we see him again. Please come home, Harry. Just come home. We see him for Munich. Outside the box, opens up, bang, top bins. Yeah. And that's what you need to do, but that's confidence. Yes. And, you know, I do feel a little bit for Frank, because if you want to talk about rubber to green, we've not really had much luck with him this season in terms of, one, injuries, and then in terms of, like, things just going right. You know, like, shots... The amount of, you know, like Richarlison's goals being offside and things like that. He hasn't had the rubber.
The header against Bournemouth was like 2 yards out.
Yeah, and all these kind of things. So I do feel for him a little bit, and it must be frustrating, because in his mind he sees the positives that there is to build on. But it's a results-based business, and we're not getting the results. We're out of the FA Cup. Macclesfield are through to the 4th round. Spurs aren't. Yeah. And that's an issue.
But it's on Frank to be tactically flexible with what he's got, like...
Which is actually one of Thomas Frank's selling points.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was one of the things at the start of the season, that we were going to go from being with someone like Ange, who was, you know, God love him, but, like, you know, had absolutely no tactical awareness and nous when it came in the Premier League at all. And Thomas Frank was a complete opposite to that. So it's kind of like we've been missold again. Like,
sounds about right.
Are you saying that Thomas Frank's like the PPI version of a manager?
yeah, I mean, we've been missold PPI heavily when it comes to Thomas Frank. But I've always maintained that I think that Thomas Frank is a good coach.
Yeah.
I just think there is a difference, and a massive difference of expectation when you go from somewhere
100%.
like Brentford and you go to Tottenham. And also, this is a team that finished 17th last year, so I do appreciate whatever he has inherited. But like we said, there's no way that this team is as bad as what we are seeing. And there is a quality standpoint, like being indecisive when you get in that final third and making the right runs and making sure you're onside, things like that.
Yeah.
And I can empathise with the injuries, but when we cast our mind back to last year, Ange had double the amount of injuries all across the pitch, and I'm not. I wanted Ange out anyway, but towards the end, but I cannot use that as an excuse as to why we are so bad. I'm sorry, I just can't. Like, it's such an easy excuse to make, but every team does have injuries, and you do manage to make the best of it, and I'm not seeing the best of it.
But look at Keith Andrews at Brentford. He's inherited Thomas Frank's, I was going to say old squad, but sold Mbeumo, sold Norgard, sold Visser. And he's actually making... And everyone went, oh, he's a set-piece coach.
Yeah, but
he scored one corner.
He still inherited the work that Thomas Frank had done with that group of players.
But they look a bit more front foot even after
Less
that.
counter-attack.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about us being on the counter, that is an area that Thomas Frank should be very good at, being on the counter and knowing those transitions and knowing how to capitalise when you're in those situations. I saw a stat last week about our... big moments to conversion ratio.
Yeah.
And actually, when we get the big moments, our conversion is really high. I think it was actually best in the league. But the problem is we don't create. We don't create enough. We've all seen us have an XG of 0 in the first half of games or slightly over. You know, this is Tottenham we're talking about. We've always been an attack-minded club. Yes, we don't have the quality at the moment, and this is the first manager that hasn't had a Son or a Kane or a world-class player, and that does come back onto the ownership. You know, I'll always lay the blame fully at the ownership's door. Doesn't matter who's in charge. But I'm sorry, it is not acceptable to have an XG at any point of 0.
At home.
At home.
Yeah,
No, at home. That's where the biggest problem, and this is the biggest frustration with the fans, is like, you know, how often we go to that stadium and we walk away from it with nothing, right? And you just feel empty. But as I said, that second half, I know I'm being really glass half full here.
Why are you being so glass half full?
I enjoyed it. Like, I actually...
The atmosphere was better on Saturday, I will say that.
I've got to give the Villa fans a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, they were good as well,
brought the noise, you know. But again, I watched Villa and I was a little jealous of them, looking at them, even like with someone like Morgan Rogers. You know what it brought me back to? Dele Alli, like people like that. They dipped into the Championship and brought someone from Borough who was ripping up the Championship. We see it online at the moment. There's just such this disconnect between fans. We're split. People think like we're going to go out and get Xabi Alonso as manager and Vinicius Junior. Like, it's just nonsense. I'm like, we're not too good for players that are doing bits in the Championship, etc. Like, I think we need to start thinking about. This is where it goes wrong. People talk about the calibre of player for Spurs. Yeah. I use this as my party question all the time. When's the last time Spurs bought a world-class player? Tell me when.
I know you were going to say Klinsmann, I guess.
Exactly, 94. Because that's when that was. Even people, Van der Vaart. Van der Vaart was towards the end of his Real Madrid career. Great, I love Van der Vaart, one of my favourites. But, you know, we've never done that. Even with, like, Ginola, he came in at a good point, but he was, you know, like, ousted from the French international team. Had a great season at Newcastle. But you're right, though, we do have the player.
But that's where it comes back down to the coach, because we could pull Modric's out, Bale's, all improved by managers who went, actually, I'm going to play Bale, not at left back, I'm going to play at left wing.
Yeah.
So that's what we need from Thomas Frank. We need him to show what he showed at Brentford, of his great, you know, being able to improve these players. Because, I mean, he should be grateful that he's got the likes of Kudus, Tell and Odobert, raw play. I mean, my one thing with him is Bergvall. I think he is misprofiling him.
So much.
Like, I mean, I know he's injured now, but this is a guy who could be a generational talent, turned down Barcelona to come to us. He is so energetic. He's, you know, in the season last year, which was turgid, he was our player of the season. Because, you know, even in a game he scored an own goal in the Europa League, he was still the best player on the pitch.
That.
So much talent in him.
How can you get that wrong? How can you go, right, actually, I'm going to go with Polina and Bentancur again, when you've got a game where you need legs?
Because it's so safe and it's so pragmatic, and that's what he wants. But how does that benefit someone like a Xavi Simons? I mean, I've been on his back as well, but I've also said I will remain to have judgment on him till the end of the season because it's a lot of pressure to come in when you're the only person that can make a forward pass as well when you've got no Maddison and Kulusevski. Yeah. But he also needs someone to help him and give him the pass. Yeah, and when you've got no movement with Palhinha and Bentancur, what do you expect? Bergvall, we love Bergvall. We see how much talent there is. The fact that he's at Spurs, I mean, God knows how long that's going to be for, because if I was a club around Europe, I'd be sniffing all around him. But he's such a talent, and like he should always be in that midfield. You just mentioned, Madge, about dipping into the Championship, for example, and buying players. I have no like opposition to that whatsoever, because if you look at our wage structure, we're never going to be able to compete. No. And I said this last week. You can keep dreaming about a Vinicius or anyone. It's actually laughable that there's anyone in our fan base that genuinely believes that we would even be able to attract that type of a player.
Even with Semenyo, like we did actually offer him proper wages. But the allure of Tottenham right now...
That's the problem.
Is now the problem.
Well, would you rather go to Manchester City
absolutely.
And compete for titles or be in a relegation?
Yeah, but this is the issue. There was a point, like we said, 5 or 6 years ago, I remember them debating it on the TV. If you're a young player, you're going to go Spurs or Arsenal right now. It was like Spurs.
Of course.
But now, look where their projects have gone. So this brings it all back round to... We just all have to agree as Spurs fans whether or not we think Thomas Frank's the right man for the job, to move us forward. Because somebody has to be given time. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, over the last 2 seasons, we've got to have a look at our sort of, backroom staff in terms of injuries and stuff. What the hell is going on with our club?
Yeah, that medical department's a joke now,
I'm going to make a spoof documentary called The Knock. It's like a horror film. It's like, when a player gets injured at Spurs, they never return.
All Mickey Van de Ven has to do is like pull his socks up and everyone thinks he's done his calf or something again.
I know we've got PTSD. One thing I'll say about that on the injury thing is, back to the Villa game, is we saw Solanke on the pitch for 15 minutes. Yeah. He did more than 15 minutes up the top of the pitch, like with hold-up play and being about, than I've seen all season. So that's another positive. Yeah. I'm trying to find the positives here because we need to move forward.
That was a positive.
Yeah.
But he's still rusty. And what worries me is
he's not match fit.
Rushing these players back. Like we did it with Kulusevski. Rushed them back.
I'm not saying we're rushing Solanke, mate. He's been out forever.
He never was. No, what kills me is when they said about Kulusevski with the injury, it's just a knock, nothing serious, and he's got broken kneecap.
They're doing his surgery with an RPG or something.
God knows when we're going to see him again. We have had really bad luck. That is just part and parcel of it. I think the way in which we played under Ange definitely did not help in terms of managing injuries because it was so fast-paced and energetic and always on the front foot. Like, when you are playing that high line and that level, you are always going to get more injuries. Yeah. I think, the Maddison one is incredibly unlucky. Yep. Having a long-term injury...
On the day we say goodbye to Son.
Yeah, it's incredibly unlucky. You can't account for that. The Kulusevski one, that's a long-term injury. Solanke, very unlucky. I don't think necessarily... Kudos even as well. But obviously he's been running to the ground because we've had no other options. I don't think that it's... I don't think that the injuries necessarily are being caused by the same reasons that we had them last season. Our medical team has always been bad, very, very dodgy. That's something that needed to be overhauled for such a long time. But I think it is a different... I think it's a different situation. I don't know who put a curse on us, but...
So brings me on nicely to, like I said, Frank. Is he the man to take Tottenham Hotspur forward? Because, I hate to always compare it to Arsenal, but they are doing so well. To say it on our show is horrible, but they're on for a quad.
They're not going to win the quad, let's be real.
Whether they do or not. Right now, in January...
They'll be clipped up.
I will happily be clipped up for that. They're not going to win the quad.
They are in 4 competitions. Yeah? We are in...
They've got the squad depth, haven't they?
That's right. But again, that squad depth has come over a period of time where a manager's identified a culture at Arsenal that he wants to instill, some sprinkled in with some talent from the youth that he's brought through and gone, OK, that one's not good enough, that one's not good enough for Saka, he can come all the way. So we need someone at Spurs to be that person. And it's like, if Thomas Frank is not that person, then surely we should not be listening to anything he has to say about this transfer window.
It comes down to everything, though. It comes down to... and it's ironic that Vinay Venkatesan was the man who backed Arteta. Because now you're looking at it with Thomas Frank, there's not many positives. At least, in Arteta's first season, he did finish 8th, but he did win the FA Cup. So that did give him grounds, even though they finished 8th the year after. That was sort of like I did this, even if it was Unai Emery's squad. But then what also changed was the Cronkies woke up, smelt the coffee and went, we need to act now. Yeah. We need to shift out Kolasinac, Mustafi and all that dross and spend 100 million on Declan Rice and bring in And don't get me wrong, Arsenal are now at that level where we try and banter the Arsenal fans going, well, Gyökeres doesn't look good. Or, like, Madueke doesn't look that good. But it doesn't matter because they're top of the league. Because it's like when, like, City signed Mangala, for example. No one cares, or Calvin Phillips. No one cares because he's top of the league and you're winning everything and they're just, you know, bystanders. So it takes a whole group of people to all pull in the same direction for us to get success. And I just worry with Thomas Frank that there has not been enough, like, because even like people said, I remember like even under Ange people would be like, well, you know, Pep finished 3rd or 4th in his first season, Klopp struggled and lost the Europa League final. It's like, but I remember watching those sides thinking, but you can see little bits, you can see the green shoots. And at the moment, Abbi, spot on, one game where I go, a whole 90 minutes against City away where we press them into the ground and you go, right, that's the vision. But since then, it's now, you know, losing. It's like.
Can we again? I feel like I'm like the Thomas Frank protector on this show today. But can we ever really have a true understanding of what a Thomas Frank team would look like without those players? So he's got the Madisons and Lakers.
No, you can't. You can't. But you could see the style of play, and you can see what he's trying to do, even if they're not there. You can see the direction, and I mean, look.
I don't even know what his style of play is.
We can't. It is pragmatic, and it is more counter-attack based, and it is a lot more defensively minded. Now, that's the other thing. Like, towards the start of the season, you could see you could see the areas we've improved. We're better at set pieces. We are much better at set pieces.
I think we're one of the highest.
We are. I think we're just behind Arsenal with that. We were much better defensively. Now, that's dropped off. You've got also no movement, and our midfield, you can just straight line pass through. Yeah. And then, obviously, we've got nothing going up front. Injuries, lack of emphasis on being creative. So there's a whole combination of things. So if I was still looking at us and being like, well, we're still better defensively and he has improved us in those and we're not conceding, fine. And I'd be like, all right, it's a bit boring, but we're still getting results. We're you know, in and amongst the top 4 or whatever. And I know there's not many points in it at the moment in terms of the table because everyone is inconsistent. Such a strange season. You know how you were just talking about Arsenal? Like, look at both projects in the last 6.5 years, OK? So obviously they sack Unai Emery. Around the same time, obviously, we sack Pochettino. It is fundamentally down to the investment and the direction of the club. When they had Usmanov, they were going absolutely nowhere fast. And we were the scales were like this. Now look how much it's flipped. When you've got an ownership in terms of the Cronkies that decided to actually pull their finger out and go and actually back a project substantially, and they obviously saw, like you talk about green shoots, they saw green shoots when it came to Mikel Arteta. Wasn't always rosy for those first 3 seasons, but proper investment to make Arsenal good again. We are kind of in there, when they left Highbury, we are in that stage. Yeah. Now, I always thought there was going to be that kind of little bit of transition from where we were under Pochettino, and then obviously him going and moving to our stadium. There was always going to be that where we might go backwards. But there's backwards, and then they're completely undoing the foundations of whatever's been built in the last 20 years. And that doesn't matter who is in charge. If you're not going to invest properly, if you're not going... I'm not saying... Look, it's hard because, again, we all want to get rid of Thomas Frank, and we're saying maybe you do need time, and you know, we are very reactionary and impulsive, but I don't think this is necessarily impulsive. I think that there is an appointment like this which matches up with the same type of Nuno-style appointment, which ultimately doesn't fit the club. It's not balanced enough.
No, I agree with that in terms of you look at the appointments, you think this is just not very top.
Doesn't work.
But the one thing I will say is we're talking about investment, and you know, ironically, after playing Villa, we're talking about is Jan Lange, right?
Oh, don't even talk to me about this guy. Don't even.
Over £400 million spent, right? This is the thing. So we say there's not been investments. Like you said, Spurs will spend 60 million on the player, but they won't spend the wages. Like, you know, isn't it the same season when we could have had like Grealish and Bruno Fernandes and stuff, and it's like we ended up with the Celso. Like, you know, that's what the problem is.
Jedson Fernandes we got instead. But that does it not tell you the mentality of this club?
The penalty against Norwich.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Was that the same one that Eric Dyer jumped in the stand? What a night! Yeah. What a night!
Right. Good times.
Honestly, this club is a joke.
So, Frank's not the person for you then, House?
No, he's not the person for me.
Not at all, no. And it's a shame because I was really for him in the summer. I wanted Iriola first, but he was my backup. And I have done...
Would you have Iriola now?
No, because you put anyone in there now and it's like they've got to deal with the same rubbish.
But this is what I think, again, and we've seen it, I've likened it to Graham Potter going to Chelsea with Thomas Frank coming to Spurs. These managers who are at the Brentfords and the Brightons, with all respect to those clubs, they look great, and you're like, oh, they could maybe have the step up. It's such a difficult task.
No manager has done that, by the way.
You say
managing
that.
the Premier League at one club, gone to another club and won the league. I'm
No,
not saying
not
we're that
won
level, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't really go up, take you to that next level.
I think there is truth and there is not truth to that, because someone like Pochettino, who was at Southampton, when we took him over, obviously Southampton were not in the situation that Southampton are in now, but that was a manager that came from a lesser club.
Yeah.
Apologies if you're a Southampton fan me saying that, but a lesser club and then came to Spurs. So the expectation is always going to be lower. But the first couple of months of Poch's reign were not good. Like the first 4 months. I mean, it was actually Villa away that changed him. They were getting sacked.
And I flicked through that the other week.
Yeah.
We still finished fifth, though.
Yeah,
there were some big results in there
so then
still.
the argument would be, and again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, because if we ran the tapes back from Inside Spurs this time last year, I'm sure I would have been saying the football was dreadful as well.
Yeah.
But Ange finishing fifth, terrible second season, but won a trophy. Should the board have stuck with him? Regardless of what I think, you think, what the fan base should think, should they have given the third season based on that?
Well, I think the players probably would have, because by the sounds of things, and even seeing Van der Ven's interview that time, when you go through things together as a collective and you're on the inside, don't forget, we're not privy to all the conversations going on behind the scenes. We can only speculate. And perhaps that's why people like Thomas Frank have told us, well, you have a go, because we're not privy to everything that's going on. You know, when you go through a hard time together, and, you know, we've heard Ange's rallying speeches before the final, etc., they probably would have went, here we go again. And even when he done the whole, like, have you seen the third season? It gets even better. It's like, even I was sold. It's like, you won me back here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, the club's in a mess in terms of the hierarchy, where we're at now. We're in this whole new world now. It's post-Daniel Levy. It's post-Harry Kane and Son. You know, we're in this world now of where are we as a club? And what's the ambition as a club? And this transfer window, which is going to bring on now, which is a nice segue, is going to really show us what our ambitions are.
I couldn't tell you what the ambitions of Tottenham Hotspur are. I think they think that their ambitions are to win the league or compete in the top four, but...
Well, Levy's never was, because even on that last interview he said to be competitive.
Yeah, to be competitive.
But
you know what?
We're not that.
We're not that. And actually, right now, that is our aim, just to be competitive. Like, how damning is that? I mean, I absolutely couldn't bear Daniel Levy, and you know when he said they'll appreciate me after I'm gone, I still don't appreciate
He's still
him.
the ghost.
I know. I mean,
around,
what I will always appreciate is, in terms of the business side of Tottenham, I think he's an incredible business person.
Yeah.
But I don't miss you, not for 1 minute, and I never will. But the disarray that this club is in is down to the failings of Enoch and Daniel Levy. Just because he's not there, the ownership hasn't changed. So how can we expect to see much different to what we've seen in the last 20 years, 20 years plus? Because the ownership is the same. And unless they're going to start pulling their finger out as well, nothing is going to change. And when you hear, oh, they've invested 100 million, what does that get you nowadays? I'm not being funny.
One player.
One player, or actually with Tottenham, it'll get you 3 at 30 million.
Isaac's left boot.
Yeah, you need way more than that, and it's like they're doing us a favour. You own the club. Everything that's been put back into Tottenham for years and years has been what Tottenham has generated through finishing in the top 4 and being in the Champions League and stuff like that.
And Beyonce.
Exactly, and Beyonce. I don't even know how much they invest in that, to be honest with you, and charging ridiculous season ticket prices and F1 track. You know, we're just part of a portfolio, really. Got to invest on the pitch, and it's so mental to me, because I think the money you would make actually investing into this football club, because you've got all the infrastructure.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's all there
It's
to
all
be a
there.
massive club. Act like it.
It seems as though we are going to be seeing Conor Gallagher come to Spurs. Until I see him in the shirt signing, I've
Sound
just...
like my dad.
Yeah, like, honestly,
Oh, trust.
Even Bridgie said it yesterday. He's like, Spurs fans, I can confirm.
Fabrizio, everyone's like-
Yeah, all of them. No, I don't care. Until that person is like, until I'm in the flesh, see them at the Spurs stadium, they don't exist. But we can talk about Conor Gallagher coming to Spurs. They had a Chelsea tifo from not long ago.
Yes.
Wow. What do we make of this?
Well, I said beforehand, I think this transfer was good 2 years ago when we were first linked with him. It sums Spurs up when it comes to their recruitment. I think it's good for now. I think it's a good transfer for January. It, fills a gap of the Bentancur injury, and I feel like he would fit in really well, a bit more tenacious, ball winner. And I think got some of his stats here. When he was at Chelsea in his 23-24 season, he was like second for assists, second for chances created, first for duels 1, tackles 1, interceptions and possession 1, which is amazing for Thomas Frank as well. I just think, again, it's not enough and a little bit too late with Spurs. I mean, again, in the summer, you probably still want another, passer in the midfield, like a and when it sums us up, we're probably not going to attract these players, but Wharton, Anderson, or Baleba.
Dream on.
But what this screams to me is maybe they're not going to go for Palhinha, and this is the Palhinha replacement. So we never, with Spurs in the transfer market, you mentioned it earlier, we never really add depth or go one beyond or have a squad where we can look at it and go, look at this rich squad. It's always not even light for light replacements, but going, okay.
Gap filler.
Yeah, midfielder goes out, midfielder comes in. And I think if you look back to the summer, you were saying it there, Madge. Oh yeah, a deal we put money on the table for Xavi Simons, but there's more context to that because you had Morgan Gibbs-White, you had Eze, and all the failings that Levy did on those deals. So I think you just got to look at this one. I think Sousa. I think the thing is, this fan base has gone through enough rubbish and false dawns to take everything with a pinch of salt now and go oh, Gallagher, yeah, OK. I'm going to reserve my judgments to when I see him play. Yeah. And if he, first 5 games, he's, as a barnstormer, then I'm like, yeah, this was the right idea. At the moment, it just feels like shots in the dark when it comes to Spurs.
I don't think that Conor Gallagher is a shot in the dark in terms of us, player profiling. I agree with you. I wanted him 2 years ago before he went to Atletico. I thought he was a perfect fit for what we need in that midfield. Someone that does have energy in midfield, has legs, late runs into the box-to-box player, adds goals as well from midfield. We haven't had a midfielder that scores goals properly. I can't even think of the last one, to be honest with you.
Does Dele Alli count?
Like Tom Huddleston, the odd one. So I actually think in terms of, he would have benefited Ange a lot, I think, at times as well. But I like him as a player. I mean, we love to get players too late. Like even James Maddison, we were linked with him before he went to Leicester, didn't do it, the Grealish one as well. There's so many, oh my God, we could be here all day. We love to sign them a little bit later than we should. But then again, it's very rare we do business with Chelsea in that sense as well. I mean, I think it's riling the Chelsea fans a lot more, in all honesty, because he's proper Chelsea. But, I obviously wanted to live in London, not go to Villa. So I think that's a good signing. The Sousa one, I'll be honest, I'm not really taking much interest in because I've seen that type of signing a million times. Happy to be proven wrong. Yeah. But I've seen that many times, and he'll be at Villarreal next season on loan. So I know how that story. Yeah. Us again. On Brian Gill again. Apparently Brian Gill is still with us.
Oh really?
I didn't. I looked the other day. I'm sure he's not.
Is he not anymore?
I think they actually got rid.
I think we actually finally did.
Oh, we finally did get rid.
I said I have sleep paralysis at night, and Brian Gill's at the end of my bed going, hey.
I'm actually going to Google that if he's because at the end of last, I couldn't believe he was still with us last season.
It's crazy.
I will say something about the Gallagher signing.
He left for 15 mil to Girona.
Okay, you can take that bit out then of this. But maybe it was last season. I was thinking there's surely he's
6 mil. Market value was 15.
I will say something about the Gallagher signing. It did show some intent. Years gone by, whether it was Saido Berahino not paying that extra $5 million, at least they went, right, Villa have offered this loan with an option. We'll go straight in 10 million over. I did rate that. Would they have
done that though if Bentancur hadn't got injured?
Yeah, but that shows intent, because look at the summer under Levy where 2 players get crocked, we go around the houses and we sign the player too late.
One thing I will say...
This is quite early for Spurs.
One thing I will say, and do you know what the best thing about our show is? We have so many other clubs in the comments. Look, you lot mugs. We're
laughable.
I know, but what I will say is, and there'll probably be someone in the comments saying this, and we are guilty of this, how dare we think we're too good for Conor Gallagher?
Yeah. How dare we?
Why? Based on what? Yeah. Conor Gallagher, I'll tell you what, I'm excited for him. And I'll tell you why, when he was on loan at West Brom, right, we played a game, Harry Kane scored that backwards header, 1-0 win, right? He dominated us.
All of them. Charlton.
Yeah.
But what about Palace?
Palace.
Brilliant at Palace.
You speak to Palace fans about him. He's great.
Never fall in love with a lone player.
Yeah.
Fall in love with
I think there's so much more to his game that there is to be seen.
But can Thomas Frank get that out of him?
I think he's personally been bought for the next manager.
Who is?
His old gaffer, Pochettino. He was his captain, wasn't he?
Loved him. Didn't want him to leave.
Yeah. So, and I think that might have been a big part of Poch going, well, if you're going to sell my captain and people like that, I'm off.
Are we all in agreement then that we think that Pochettino is the only man that can save this club?
So many people are like, don't go back, don't go back there.
Sure.
So Sonny's not there.
I'm not really sure. I'd never go back to an ex. I feel like the ship's maybe sailed on him, which is a shame, because I feel like when you do look at his time at PSG and Chelsea, there were good moments there, but I just feel like now, with the World Cup, it depends how that goes for the US. I mean, obviously they've not had a great, prep.
Yeah, but they're not going to win the World Cup, though, are they?
No, but at least...
We're not going to win the league, so it's fine.
If they get to the round of 16, though, that's a success. Trump will love that. And
I want to win the World Cup. I don't want to be 16. It's very bad. Very bad. That's where Venezuela finished.
But to me, I am lost for words for who we have next, because my idea would be pick a young coach, because I feel like these last 2 project managers have been, I don't know, a bit set in their ways. I feel like these younger coaches who are out there who are more open for, some transfers to come in that they can improve on.
Were you thinking of people like Hotspur and people like that?
Well, I'd go for, personally, Sebastian Hoeneß at Stuttgart, who has gone out there, he's won them their first trophy in a long time. Improved players, like they've got a guy over there called Angelo Stiller, has been linked with Real Madrid, a proper good playmaking midfielder.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to throw this to you.
I'd give him time over.
Imagine like we're doing this in Germany, we're doing like the Bundesliga show, right? Yeah, with Das Abbi, right? And we're talking about possible managers coming to our club there. I'd be like, well, Ange Postecoglou won the first trophy with Tottenham.
Yeah.
And Mickey van der Ven is now linked with Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Like, we sell all these things, people like a guy doing well at Stuttgart. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is why.
That's literally where we are now.
But that's because we've tried it all.
Yeah.
We've gone to Conte's. Conte's a superstar. I was watching him the weekend with Napoli. We got sent off. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. I miss him.
But that's never going to work at Spurs.
No, of course not.
It's never going to work. And also, Conte is he's a volatile manager. That's not going to work.
And he had such a terrible time personally that year as well. Bless him.
Yeah.
That he had no support. I didn't think.
Like a lot of people were like going back and going, oh, if only he had Van der Ven. I'm like, no, he was like that AC Milan game when it ended 0-0. I was like, nah. And Sheffield United exit the cup.
Again, doesn't fit us. The same way that Jose would never have fit us. The same way that Nuno doesn't fit us. The same way that.
But we all know the managers who did fit us.
Ange actually fit us the most, but too far that way. That's why,
it's like Tottenham way on acid.
Look, I will always bang the Pochettino drum because I think that the way he was treated by this club, by the board, was so incredibly unfair.
And some of the fan base. I think by the time he came, it was like, get him out.
And it was like, it's crazy. It's like if you looked at the factors as to how we'd got to where we'd got to.
Like the 7-2 against Bayern.
Yeah,
but just out of his hands at that point.
Yeah.
The squad was stale. It had been stale for a good season before that. We were how we even got to a Champions League final that year, I don't know.
Yeah, that papered over the cracks.
Massively papered over it. But you could see what was going on. Look at the factors outside of what was going on off the pitch, like having those 2 seasons away from home, not spending any money for a year. There's so many things that he deserved the time to be able to build what he wanted to build with when his hands had been tied for such a long time. I'm not saying he's perfect, by the way. I've seen him play Son in left back.
My God, Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he is without fault and he should have put a lot more emphasis on cups and some decisions were questionable. But that is a man that understood this club and could work really well.
Not just that. As fans right now, I think the Spurs fan base are the most disconnected and divided I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
The only time I can go back to really toxic is when I was a really little kid, before your time, Sonny, when Sugar was in.
I said it last week, we're in the 90s.
Yeah, I know. And I remember, because I'm from Enfield, we was playing Enfield pre-season friendly, and it was against Spurs, and all the Enfield/Spurs fans were like, Sugar gone bad, signs and that. Even that with Sugar, you look back at that and think, he saved our club.
Yeah.
We was in the...
He says that now on Twitter.
No, but he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He did save our club.
People like to rewrite their own stories of how things happened.
I know, but we're in this place now where it's... I think Levy's gone, so they haven't even got a scapegoat in Levy anymore. Some people are like, be careful what you wish for their... Still got Enoch in charge. If they're going to operate the same way, we're going to be in the same place. I think for Spurs fans, seeing a man that was in other jobs, he's at PSG and he's on other sports channels going, crying almost, wearing a Spurs top. Oh, I miss him. This guy loves us.
It was a bad breakup.
It was a really bad breakup.
I think we've had that with all the good men, even Martin Yeo and Harry Redknapp.
Oh.
There's always something...
my guy.
Can I just tell you, sorry, so out of touch, you can fully cut this as well.
No, keep it in.
Okay, Martin Yeo the other day followed me.
No, he never.
And I had the biggest fangirl moment, and I was like, 10-year-old me having Martin Yeo follow me. I can't.
Hello, Abby, darling.
I was actually thinking to message him and be like, do you fancy it? To the end of the season? Would you?
I'd love to play my idol in the trouble. Bikini back good.
Oh, what a time.
The good place.
And also, sorry, look at how our club has treated some of these managers. Sacks at half-time, the geezers didn't even know.
Yeah. And they were always unfortunate. Even Harry Redknapp always had the England manager links, Martin Yeo, lasagna gate. There was always something going around. for negativity.
You mentioned like Sousa. We've seen this a million times. You've done a bit of a deep dive on him.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about him for those that don't know?
Well, the problem is I think Santos are going through a bit of a bad period as well. Like Neymar is literally like running riot out there, and it's not been that good. But I think Sousa, he is like a creative monster, and I think when you look at Spurs at the moment on that left-hand side, like we are totally reliable on Destiny Udogie, who can't even stay fit. So I think he's similar to him, and ideally I think he comes in and then it frees up Jed Spence to play on his more preferred side, and really drop Porro. I think he has been absolutely abysmal for like the whole season.
He's having a massive head's gone as well. He needs to step away quickly.
I think because he's part of that group who keeps, like with Romero and Van der Ven, at least they're delivering on the pitch, whereas Porro, it just seems like...
Start doing misfit boxing with the fans.
It's just
for Porro versus Sonny Snelling. Like, Friday Night Live on talkSPORT.
I can imagine it's hard, because obviously, I think we forget, obviously they're players to us, but obviously they're humans, and they are, similar ages to us as well, and they spend their life on social media.
They're young lads.
They're young lads.
When I saw them at Wembley at one of the boxing events, I went over and I'm like Uncle Madge. Like, yes, Uncle.
But the same way that we would read comments, and even if we don't want to read them, some things will filter in. They are going to filter in, and it must be. You know how we get frustrated. I definitely get frustrated that we can't say anything back, for example.
Yeah.
It must be so frustrating because we don't know the ins and outs of the club.
Yeah.
We don't know these people. We're just judging them when we're not at an elite level. But I mean, that is all of our jobs, unfortunately. But for them,
we pay a lot of money.
We pay a lot of money to go watch them. So if when we've got the season ticket prices we do, or any club, you pull on that shirt, we are a fan base. We demand X, Y, Z of you.
And we'd die to be
in that position.
Club,
we would all do it for free. And I'm not saying that they have to do it for free. Obviously, they don't need to do it for free. It's their job, and they don't have the same love and passion. But as a fan, we are going to judge you because you are a footballer and you are wearing our club's badge, and that is it's a religious thing for us.
Yeah.
We care about that club more than we care about most things in our life, and we spend our hard-earned money to do that.
What we do need to care about, of course, is West Ham coming to town, who are in a terrible position.
Yeah.
This reeks of West Ham beating us. It reeks of it.
It's Nuno as well, isn't it?
3
o'clock on a Saturday afternoon.
Doesn't even make it onto prime time anymore. It's 3 o'clock.
That used to be a big game.
Might as well be behind closed doors.
Wish it was.
It's such a difficult one because they're going to have to fight for their lives right now, West Ham.
Oh, yeah.
But I do look at West Ham and think, I don't think there is any fight there. It's pretty poor.
I mean, against Wolves and Nottingham Forest. I mean, against Nottingham Forest, I will give them their due. They did look a bit better. But when you're that low and that poor...
Who do you want to see?
You won't get the rub of the green, will you?
If you are that low and you're that poor...
Dr. Spurs.
Yeah.
That Dr. Spurs song haunts me now.
Bournemouth. They haven't won in their last 11.
Yep.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
They couldn't ask for a better fixture.
Yeah. And also, they've got a good record at our gaff. So it is a worry.
Well, at least they don't have Antonio anymore. He used to love a goal against
and Lucas
us.
Paqueta,
He's gone.
obviously his future's up in the air, so he's off.
Yeah.
So
it's just Bowen.
I can just picture those new strikers. Was it Pablo and Tati or whatever their names are?
They won't score again this season.
Yeah.
Probably.
With this any game.
No.
But no, and they're linked with Eric Dyer.
I've seen that.
So I could see him being done before the weekend.
Apparently, he comes in, scores in his debut
marches
against
up the
West
stands
Ham.
again. That's what we can see it.
Scores against Spurs on his debut for West Ham. You can see it.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, and there's so many injuries as well. What kind of team are we looking to put out? How should we go and beat West Ham? You're the gaffer. Thomas Frank's giving you the reins now, Abbi. How do you go and beat West Ham on Saturday?
I don't even know who's fit and who's available. Does any of us know who's...
Well, I'd put Conor Gallagher straight in.
Well, yeah, I mean, assuming that gets done.
That second half...
That sounds like it's a done deal.
Yeah.
But we're still not...
Do we know how long Bergwell's out for?
No.
Oh, yeah.
We never know, do we?
I told you, it's the knock. It's the horror film.
It's the horror knock. I don't know. So, I mean, your back four is as it is.
Yeah.
Because that's
Romero's back.
Yeah, Romero's back from... I mean, that was, again, mental. You go... Palhinha.
Palhinha has to start.
Obviously, if Bergval's fit, you play Bergval, but he'll probably go Gray and Xavi. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it kind of picks itself at this point because there's not many options.
Yeah, no.
So what you see is what you get. My thing, if I was the manager, I'd be saying, just...
We're aiming for Bergval to be back for Saturday, so that's one glimmer.
Okay, well, I mean, whether or not he comes in straight away, knowing Thomas Frank probably won't put him in straight away, and it would be great. But I would be saying just go out there and just be front-footed.
That second half?
Yeah.
Just do that.
Whatever you did in that second half, try and try and find some passes, try and have some movement, try and play a forward ball.
If a doggy's fit, you put him straight in and put Spence on the other side and drop Pora.
I wouldn't risk it.
No.
Because
You sound like Frank.
I've seen this all before. Like, he'll pull up after 20.
Yeah.
I think you've just got to, as much as it annoys me, start
Ben Davies?
Pora and Spence, I think, for this one.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way to go.
Not Ben Davies.
Bowen, you've got to think Bowen's playing as
Yeah.
well, so I trust Jed Spence on that side to maybe lock him up in his penalty.
I was going to say, no one's
been locked up for a while.
Yeah.
They're all escaping.
Yeah.
They've got the keys.
No one's in the penitentiary.
No.
No, I mean, but look, Ben Davies. I know he's not a fan favourite, and okay, yeah, he probably shouldn't still be at the club, but
He's just a lovely guy.
he's a lovely,
the best.
he's a great professional. And to be honest with you, whenever he plays, I'm never worried
no.
about him. You might not get over a 6 out of 10.
Do you know what used to crack me up as well? When Perisic was there, Perisic used to fume with him.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy's not a baller.
No.
Like, he goes
He's
like,
safe.
he'd find, he'd have the ball, like, the guy's not making the runs, or he'd be in a space, he's never sees him, and you just watch Perisic go, what am I doing?
Why am I here? Why am I here?
Why am I here? Still scoring goals, Perisic.
Yeah. I think tell Odebert, Xavi have to start, because in all honesty, we've got nothing else anyway. Also, do you know what? Another thing that really irks me about our academy, we don't bring anyone through.
No, we haven't for years.
Like,
By the way, Kate was a Spurs player.
I mean, yeah, there's so many that have been highly, rated, and we never see them, or they're spoken about, they go on loan, whatever.
Well, that's why with Lucas, I'm worried.
Dane Scarlett is not a kid anymore. Like, why would we not try that, by the way? Like,
Come on for a few minutes.
I know, but like,
what are you meant to do?
Yeah.
Why
That was
not,
weird.
Why
Like, there's like
not,
3-4 strikers on the pitch
know.
at the same time. Like, what shape is this?
If you
FA
had
Cup.
like loads of options, obviously, I can understand him not being there, but like, I would be inclined to give him a go. Like, why not?
But I'll tell you what sums up.
Tell me how much worse he could be.
I'll tell you what sums up that whole situation and why it's a bit of a mockery is when in the Champions League we're 4-1 up and Richarlison took the penalty off him. It's
Yeah.
like he should have let him score that day.
Yeah.
Because I think that
Confidence.
would have given him the confidence to move forward and, probably his only chance to score a Champions League goal that. Because, the likelihood he ain't going to be in the Champions
No,
League club
but
if he
someone
leaves
like
us.
Mikey Moore obviously going on loan, and that seems to be now kind of working out a little bit more at Rangers. Like, hopefully that's experience that he can then come back and actually feature. What's the point of sending these talents out on loan if then they never see the light of day in a Spurs shirt?
Luka Vuskovic is the player of the season so far in the Bundesliga. Will Lancashire is having people sniff around him at Oxford.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
Jamie Donnelly was having a good half a season. I think he's now gone to Oxford.
He has, yeah.
Luca Williams-Barnett's lighting up the academy,
Yeah.
although he has got an injury. So.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so highly rated.
But he was
as well.
he's scoring 5-6 goals a game.
So my point is, if you had a squad, right? For example, like, again, not to compare it to Arsenal, I hate using them as a shining example, but it's true.
They are
Like,
shining.
if you look at them in the way that they used Ethan Wanyeri, they used Miles Lewis-Skelly, for example,
Even
Max
Max
Dowman. Like, I know they have a squad around them, so it's easier to integrate over time, giving those minutes, but at least they give them some minutes. I look at our squad and I think, tell me how Dane Scarlett can be worse than what I'm looking at. Tell me how none of these players, none of this youth who want to prove a point, want to have their chance, knows what it means to play for Spurs, you come through the academy, they can't get a sniff.
And 3 of them dragged us through a Europa League game last year.
I know. It's very frustrating. But we'll see, especially with injuries. Right, predictions for the West Ham game.
I'm going to go controversial.
I know.
1-1 and he gets sacked after that. Because
Wow.
even a draw's not good enough.
Would you take that if it meant he
draw.
got sacked?
Yes.
You lot hate him, innit?
Yeah.
I don't hate him. I actually have no feelings.
I said who I want. I said...
But this is what I'm saying. It is like being in a relationship. We need Poch. That's your love.
Jermaine Defoe interim
love of my
until the
life.
end of the
Jermaine
season.
Defoe, interim.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah.
Robbie Keane.
Fancy that.
He's done his badges, hasn't he?
Or Robbie...
Robbie Keane? Robbie's doing
he's-
good.
but why would he leave? He's doing well in the Europa League. Like, why would he
smashed
leave?
out.
Yeah.
They'll probably go back and get
Robbie's
that.
ready for the Celtic job. Watch.
Yeah.
Can't even get Jonathan Woodgate because he's off to
No,
Carrick's back room.
they'll probably literally just have Ryan Mason. Now he's obviously not West Brom.
Oh, listen, don't.
They'll say Ryan to come back for the last 6
You can
months.
so see that happening.
So
But then all of
see
a
it.
sudden, as I say, it's all lined up for the return of the Poch.
Return of Poch.
Do you think it's going to be a 1-1 draw? I don't think it'll be a draw.
Us at home as well. It's really hard to give a prediction, in honesty.
I'm not going, so we might win.
I will go narrowly 2-1 Tottenham.
I think Spurs win. I think
Narrowly, though.
West Ham are in a position now they have to try and get points. They
So
can't.
come out.
Yeah,
They're going to have
be
to.
open.
They're going to have to play. They can't just sit in and wait. They can't afford. And if they get absolutely battered by us, they're in an even worse
I
position.
don't think we'll be battering anyone.
I've got a sneaky feeling we're going to win.
It's their cup final, isn't it? So
I'm going to say we
they're
win
gonna turn
3-0.
up.
Thomas Frank's Cup final.
I think we win 3-0. I've got a sneaky feeling. I'm feeling positive today, even though I've had a lack of sleep.
How bad must they be if we beat them 3-0?
I know. It's been brilliant, guys. Thank you very much. That's all we've got time for this week on Inside Spurs. A huge thank you to Sonny and Abbi. Until next time, up the Spurs.